Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Wednesday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. So we're going to be doing the player housing episode that I talked about last week. I wanted to give it a little bit of time, give it a little bit of distance, and be able to go through my thoughts. So we'll be going over all of that, plus all of the latest news, updates, and current goings on in Azeroth. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before I do anything else, I will do a quick rundown of what I got up to last week in World of Warcraft. So I did a lot of work on my house. I'm working on a video. I was going to do a video guide, like a walkthrough of the house, and upload it onto the Discord server, which you can get to by going to AzerothUnitedPod.com. And I hadn't finished it yet, so that's why I haven't posted any pictures of my house. But I'll get to that probably this weekend, and I'll get that up there. But the housing has been great. Spent a lot of time doing that. I did do some time walking on the Druid, but not as much as I had wanted to, because the classic bug bit me hard. And as excited as I am for housing, I'm almost more excited for Burning Crusade. And so I've been spending a lot of time on Anniversary. I did quite a few things on my warrior. He's 52 now. I think he's 52. So I did a Sunken Temple run, which was really fun. I think we had a Shadow Priest, a Feral Druid, and a Rogue or something. I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter, because we went in there. We cleared the whole thing, but it was a little rough going through, because once you get it a little bit higher level, it starts to get harder as a warrior to tank. I don't have enough hit. I'm really struggling with keeping enough rage. So one of the other the Shadow Priest was like, "Oh, just use Whirlwind," and it's like, well, we also had a brand new or seemingly new healer, somebody who wasn't really comfortable with healing and keeping the group up. And I said, if I'm doing Whirlwind, that's great, but then I'm going to go into Berserker stance. I'm not going to be able to hold any threat after that, because I'm not going to have any rage. So it was a little frustrating. So yeah, is there a better way to do it than what I did? Yes, but I don't know. Anyway, I got it done. I did all the quests. Sunken Temple's done. Next up on the list is BRD. And probably do a few more princess runs before I get to level 60. See, maybe I can get the ring. But aside from that, that's pretty much what I did there. I also started another druid. And so here's the thing about Classic. When you play Classic, if you've done it a million times like I have, you know all the quests, you know all the zones, you know the transition points, you know when this goes to here, when that goes to there. You know all that. There's no mystery involved in what level should I be no, you already know it. It's all pre-programmed. So I like to try and change it up a little bit, rather than just doing the traditional, okay, I'm going to do 1 through 12 on Teldrassil, and then I'm going to go to Darkshore and do that for a little bit, and then I'm going to do the run. I thought, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to level up my herbalism. I'm not in a hurry. If he doesn't get to level 60 before Burning Crusade comes out, I'm not worried about it. This is just a for fun type thing. I sent him a bunch of gear because I can. It's like, oh, that's 20 silver on the auction house. I'll send him that. I'll send him that one. So he has a bunch of gear already, and it's just, I don't know, it feels really chill and almost relaxing going through and like reading a good book that you've read before, and all your favorite parts. And yeah, some of the pages you kind of like, whatever, kind of fly through this real quick, but when you get to those good parts, they're so good. And that's kind of how I feel right now with Classic. It's that old book, sitting in a comfy chair by a warm fire in my WoW house. It's nice. So anyway, I don't know. I'm having fun with Classic. And this is part of the reason why I don't like hardcore, because it completely changes that whole system of familiarity. Yes, it's still the same game, and yes, you still have to do the same things, but you have to do it in such a different way and approach the game from a different way. It makes it very, I don't know. It's frustrating to me to do hardcore, because if you make a mistake, you have to start over, and I don't like that. I had to. I was logged on the other day. I was doing something, and I had to get up real quick and go. And I just left my character sitting in the middle of the road. And when I came back, he was dead because of whatever creature had pathed into where I was standing. That's why I don't play hardcore, because I don't have that focus to say, this is all that I'm doing right now for the next however long. And when I'm done with it, I will log out. I don't have that kind of focus and that type of energy. So anyway, that's what I did. Not a lot. I might be buying a new car, or a new to me car. I don't like to buy new cars. But my daughter needs a car, and she's been looking at cars, but she looks at cars in kind of a, I don't know, that looks nice. I'm not sure. There's no structure to it. There's no organization to it, which is fine. That's how she does it. So, okay, no worries. So my wife and I thought, okay, well, maybe what we'll do is we'll sell her our car, and then so she'll have a car, and then we can go buy a new car, or a certified pre-owned car. So that's what we're probably going to do. I don't know. So we spent a lot of time this weekend car shopping. I was actually going to do, an interview this weekend, and it didn't work out because we ended up doing all the car stuff. And so that's fine. It's what it is. And I'm not too worried about it, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, so I didn't get to do as much WoW as I'd wanted to, was the point that I was trying to make. So I did log on to my Hunter again, and the raid team from the Adept Scholar Society was doing their final Nax run of the vanilla before hunkering down for Burning Crusade. So I got to just say hi real quick to some of the people in the raid team 5. So shout out to you guys if you still listen. That's cool. I will be joining you guys in Outland. Not exactly sure what capacity, but I'll probably just ride the bench on that one. But still, I will be around for that. Yeah, so there you go. That's what's going on in WoW last week for me. One thing that I wanted to do was a follow-up on last week's episode about Miss Pandaria Classic, because I know I talked about here's the state of Classic, and everybody's frustrated with Blizzard right now, and I still feel that way, and I think that they need to do something different, but I'm just not sure what that is. So I've talked about Ironforge Pro before, which is they go through and they calculate the total number of characters listed in Warcraft logs for raids and arenas. So it gives you a rough idea of level 90 characters who are actually doing stuff. The end game content basically is what it boils down to. This is before the launch of the Throne of Thunder. So think of this as like the lead up right before Throne of Thunder, and then probably next week's we'll have that initial jump. I'm assuming there's going to be a jump for Throne of Thunder, but yeah, it's really interesting because I was looking at it and I was curious. I'm like, are these numbers going to kind of even out? No, they are not going to even out. The 2 weeks ago, the total number of raiding and arena characters in Miss Pandaria Classic was 90,491. Last week was 71,228. So it went down by 19,000 characters, which is a lot. And yes, some of those people are doing player housing, and some of those people are getting ready for Midnight, and some of those people are getting ready for Burning Crusade. I get all that. It's just, I feel like Blizzard has done Miss Pandaria Classic dirty in this case, and it's really disappointing because honestly, it could have been a huge success, and we could be talking about Warlords of Draenor Classic right now in anticipation of Legion Classic. But at this point, we're not talking about anything because nobody cares. I don't understand what the incentive here is for Blizzard to ignore Mists of Pandaria, or at least ignore this issue as the population of the server continues to drop, as the popularity of this version of the game continues to die out, with players who have invested years of their time in this just watching it wither away and die. It's really frustrating. So anyway, I don't want to beat too heavily on this point, but it's a little frustrating, and I know that a lot of people have talked about this from various standpoints, and a lot of people will continue to talk about this, and I'm talking about this, but it's a problem that needs to be addressed from a marketing standpoint. They've got to do something more than what they're doing, which is really not a whole lot. Yes, they did a little bit of hype for Miss Pandaria Classic Phase 5. That is true. Or Phase 3. I think it's Phase 3. But it's I don't feel like it's enough. I don't feel like it's hitting the right notes, and I feel like Blizzard is just kind of I feel like they gave up. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, I don't have a forum post of the week this week. This WoW by the Numbers segment has replaced the forum post of the week segment. So we'll just move on to the news, and then we'll get to our main topic of the week, which is WoW housing.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so let's start off with the latest additions to the Blizzard store, which I always love to do because people get so irritated by Blizzard trying to make money. And I get it because it seems greedy, but the holiday sale, up to 50% off mounts, toys, pets, and transmogs. So you have a certain mount that you've been wanting for a long time, but you're like, I don't want to spend $25. Well, now it's $12.50, probably. Yeah, no, this is good. Especially if you have somebody in your life who plays WoW that you might want to get a gift for. That's a really fun gift. Hey, I bought you a mount for Christmas. That's a kind of a nice way to, not have to buy somebody, your online friends, a gift, but still give them a gift. So that's something that you could check out. There's also 33% off on player services. And there's a few games that are on sale. The games themselves, we have Diablo 2 Resurrected, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and Doom: The Dark Ages Standard Edition. Woo-hoo. Yeah, the holiday sale is always cool because I do maybe every other year I'll buy myself a mount. So I'm like, oh, I've kind of wanted that one, but I didn't want to spend the money on it. Now I'll do it. Now I'll spend the money. So yeah, maybe some of these transmogs too. Although I'll tell you, some of the store transmogs recently have been very rough on the clipping. And you know how I feel about clipping. When your weapon clips through your shoulders or your back piece or your helm, or your beard clips through your helm, or all these weird clipping issues, I don't like it. It really bothers me. And I really feel like Blizzard needs to address that and to don't sell me. Like, if this is just transmog that's in the game, fine. But if this is something on the store that you're expecting people to pay money for, you got to fix those issues. You can't just leave that. So I don't know what you got to do. Hire somebody, get an intern on it. I don't know, but you can't leave these weird clipping issues in store-bought transmogs. That is unacceptable. And then, yeah, pets and toys. Sure. If especially if your kids play WoW, or maybe your significant other has been eyeing a particular pet that they really like, that's a really good time to do that. So check out the holiday sale on the Battle.net website. The link is in the launcher, but I'll also put it in the show notes so you can get to that very easily. The other thing on the store that was just announced by Blizzard, and this one's a little weird. This is the Snowbound Drustvar pack, now available on the Battle.net shop. So you get the Crag Stepper Cresthorn mount and the Drustvar Winter Collection transmog. Now, somebody pointed this out on, I think it was on Reddit or Twitter. It's called the Drustvar pack. it looks like a Tuskar pack. And the question was raised, was this AI generated? At least the little blurb on what it's called, and here's the description for it, because somebody said Tuskar and it sounded like Drustvar, and it doesn't look like Drustvar at all. It does look like Tuskar. Ish. Tuskar-ish. So, and I know that there are some similarities in there, that kind of, that appearance and that style, but this does not look like a Drustvar. It 100% is. I think it was supposed to be Tuskar, and they messed up, and they're just leaving it because you don't want to admit, oh, we had AI do this and it screwed up. So, or worse yet, somebody did text to speech or voice to text. I don't even know what you call that. But basically they dictated it, and maybe they had Drustvar in their dictionary, but not Tuskar. I don't know. It's weird. The whole thing is weird. It looks, I mean, the set itself looks cool. I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but it's like a giant moose with the big, like, snowy antlers, and he's got some armor with some bones on it, like a Tuskar horn, and the transmog set is very cozy and wintry looking. So if you like the set, cool, but it is called Drustvar and not Tuskar, so it's a little odd. But anyway, that is also available on the Blizzard store. It is $25 for the set, which is a mount and the transmog. It's not a bad deal if you happen to like either or. You're basically getting the other one for free. So check out the Drustvar set, Snowbound Drustvar pack, now available on the Battle.net shop. Good job, Blizzard. That's whoops. All right. Oh man. Christmas time is always weird because everybody's buying their gifts and you're trying to figure out what everyone wants, and there's all these cool things that you can get on the Blizzard store. But they all sell out. And so I was looking at it, I was like, ooh, that would be cool. Oh, it's sold out. Oh, I should get that it's sold out. What are you gonna do? All right, let's move on. Let's go with Legion Remix here. Legion Remix. So Blizzard has announced in response to the Infinite Echoes patch phase 5 for Legion Remix, where everyone was like, yeah, that's cool that we get more power, but how about more bronze? So Blizzard said, okay, here's more bronze. So they updated the amount of bronze that you're going to get. Raid bosses on all difficulties will now drop a minor bronze cache, which is 2,500 bronze. The Lost Legion Infernals will drop a greater bronze cache, which is 12,500 bronze once per day per account. I hate when Blizzard says per account, because it's like, do you mean WoW account or Battle.net account? Which account are we talking about here? That irritates me so much. Infinite research quests, when you turn them in, they will reward a lesser bronze cache, which is 4,000. A Legion Assault will give you a bronze cache, which is 7,500 bronze. An Emissary quest will reward you a greater bronze cache, which is 8,500 bronze. And a World Boss will give you a lesser bronze cache for 4,000 bronze. Additionally, they took the opportunity to speed up the recurrence of Legion Assaults, so they now occur approximately 375% faster. Seems like a weird, arbitrary number. 300% faster, okay. 400% faster, okay. 350% faster even is fine, acceptable, but 375% seems a little odd. I don't know. Maybe they're just having trouble with copy these days at Blizzard. Blizzard, if you need to hire a copy editor, let me know. I might know someone. So, yeah, just maybe check these things before they go out. Anyway, right. So that's, jeez. That's what's going on in Remix. In the Midnight Beta, there's a few changes that have come through. So the first one, and I found this to be quite odd, but I think it's very telling of what Blizzard's plan is here. There are no curio drops in the Voidspire raid. Now, this was data mined, so it could be something that gets added later. But the Voidspire raid is the first raid, or there's the Voidspire and then Dream Rift. Voidspire is a 6 boss raid. Dream Rift is a 1 boss raid. These will both release on March 17th when the season starts. Now, the March on Quel'Danas raid, which is, most people are considering this to be the real end raid, will launch on March 24th, and that will include a curio drop from the last boss. Now, generally, the curio is a item that you can use to turn it. It's an Omni token, so you can turn it in for any, not an Omni-Man token. That's different. An Omni token, you can turn it in for any of the tier set pieces. So if you're like, well, I've got my shoulders and my helm, but I need my legs, you can go turn it in, you get your legs or whatever. It's a really good one to fill out your tier set or get your set bonus, because then you can just grab whatever you don't already have. And it typically only drops from the last boss of the raid. So the fact that it doesn't drop from Voidspire, but does drop from March on Quel'Danas, to me, that indicates that Blizzard does not consider the Voidspire to be part of the final raid. So if you look at it as one big raid, right? The Voidspire is like the first section, and then March on Quel'Danas is the second section, with Dream Rift being kind of an offshoot that you just throw in there. You know, it's like sometimes you go fight that random boss in a raid, you're like, why did we kill that guy? Who even knows? That's the Dream Rift. So there was a lot of question when the raids were first announced of whether or not Blizzard would put enough space in between the two, or if they would differentiate between them so that the race for World First would not get muddied. And it appears that they've done that. They've kind of drawn this distinction that, yes, Voidspire is a raid and it does have a final boss, but they're not putting any of that prestige into Voidspire like they are into March of Quel'Danas. I haven't seen anything on the achievements. Maybe there's a cutting edge achievement for Voidspire. I don't know. But either way, that to me really says a lot in terms of what Blizzard thinks about these raids and how they are spacing them out and why they're spacing them out the way that they are. I do think that having 3 raids is a little weird. I think we've gotten out of that in terms of wow, the last time we had 3 raids at once was Miss Pandaria in 2012. So yeah, it is a little odd, but I'm not opposed to it. It's just, it feels weird to go back to this old way of doing things. So anyway, there's no Omni token in the Voidspire raid. That's the article that WoW had put out after they data mined it. But there is one from the March of Quel'Danas. So infer from that what you will as far as what Blizzard thinks about the different things that are going on. But yeah, that's going on. Small correction. I just read it in my notes here. The Voidspire raid will release on March 17th. The March on Quel'Danas raid will release on March 31st, not March 24th. So it gives you a full 2 weeks in between. Thus, Blizzard has solved the Race to World First issue. If they can't do it in 2 weeks, then I think that they're just calling that one like, well, maybe you're just bad. So yeah, that's I just thought that was odd that Blizzard would do that. And creating the 3 raids, I get it. Creating the 3 raids and giving them such distinctly different setups, I don't know. The whole thing seems weird. We'll have to wait and see what the final look of this is. We're still on beta. We still haven't solved any of the we don't know for sure when things are going to happen, but it just seems weird. So that's all. All right, let's talk about what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. The bonus event for this week is Classic Time Walking. You're going to get the buff Sign of the Past. Classic reputation gains from combats and quests increased by 50%. You can pick up the quest An Original Path Through Time from Archivist Frithroon in Dornogal. Man, I can't wait to not have to say Archivist Frithroon every week. To defeat 5 time walking dungeons, and you'll be rewarded with a hero track raid item. Also, remember, this is the 3rd week of Turbulent Timeways, so if you have been getting your buff every week, and you get it this week, then you only need 2 more weeks before you can get your mount token. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't been doing it, remember it's 10 weeks of Turbulent Timeways. So if you haven't done it yet, you still have plenty of time to get in there. But don't forget, don't wait until week 5 and then go, oh crap, now I have to do it every week no matter what, or I can't get my mount. Whatever. So classic time walking. The dungeons are the Dead Mines, Zul'Farrak, Dire Maul West, Dire Maul East, Stratholme Main Gate, and Stratholme Service Entrance. So no Dire Maul North, no ogres, and the Dead Mines and Stratholme. The live side of Stratholme is not the correct one from vanilla. It's actually the modern one, just with the some of the original mobs put in there. It's weird. The whole thing is weird. That when they changed that one in, was it Cataclysm? It might have been Cataclysm. I don't remember what it was. They put in undead mobs instead of the actual alive Scarlet Crusaders. So it makes no more sense to call this the live side of Strat, because it is no longer the live side of Strat. So main gate, service entrance is fine. You can also go Scarlet and Baron, which is what we used to call it back in the day. But yeah, it's just it's weird. And the Dead Mines, again, yeah, it's the dungeon from modern WoW with the mobs from vanilla WoW. So again, it's a little weird. You still have the teleporters and all these things in there that just don't make sense. But I guess they didn't want to put an old model into the new game? Question mark. I guess that's why. I'm sure there's plenty of technical reasons why they did it this way, but I don't know what those are because I'm not a game developer. So the PvP brawl for the week is Deep 6. Deep 6 pits teams of 6 players against each other in 3 iconic battlegrounds: Warsong Gulch, Silver Shard Mines, and Temple of Kot Magoo. Each battleground offers a little variation in the traditional format, such as flags are a little bit closer in Warsong Gulch, less cards to keep track of in Silver Shard Mines, and only 2 orbs within the Temple of Kot Magoo. When you zone in, you'll pick up the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. This one's not different enough for me to be exciting. Like, oh, what a wacky and wild game mode that is. It's just kind of like it's a PvP brawl, whatever. That's fine. When you zone in, you get pick up the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. All right. And finally, the Feast of Winter Veil, which started on the 15th of December. Great Father Winter is visiting the cities of Ironforge and Orgrimmar, courtesy of Smokywood Pastures, and throughout Azeroth, it is a season to be jolly. So this is the same as it was last year in the War Within. So you can get your holiday outfits. They have the red and green transmogs, which are actually really cool. I use those parts for different transmogs. I'll use different components of that, especially the pants. Those pants are really good. If you have a transmog where you want your character to have pants on, but maybe you don't want the pants to have any defining features and you just want them to be kind of a generic plain looking pants, those are really good. You have a red one and a green one, so it can match a lot of different things. It can be brown, it could be blue, it could be whatever. So I really like those transmogs, and they're fun. You know, who doesn't want a good Christmas or Winter's Veil transmog to run around in? So you can also complete the quest to rescue Metzen from the Grinch. It's just a little short quest line. You got to make your way out to I think it's Hillsbrad or Alterac Mountains. So you can rescue Metzen, and you can also have a chance to earn the Grunch pet from the Grinch. So if you want the Grunch, if you don't have the Grunch and you are going to kill the Grinch, maybe you can get the Grunch when you kill the Grinch. Blizzard. Some of the bosses will have holiday hats, which is always fun. Dementius has a holiday hat, so a couple of other ones. And then you can /kiss or /dance with the holiday revelers to get a little buff. I'm not sure what it is. Somebody was saying something about a versatility buff, but I couldn't find anything about that, so I don't know. But usually it's just like a little spirit buff, but there's no more spirit, so I don't know. I haven't done this in 10 years. So I don't know. And then on December 25th, you'll be able to open your presents under the tree. We don't know what the present is this year, but no doubt it'll be something amazing and substantial, and we'll all be happy with it. No one will complain. Right. And And that's it. That's what's going on in World of Warcraft. So yeah, I want to get into this player housing because I have a lot to say. I have a lot of opinions about player housing. And this is not going to be the only time I'm going to talk about this. So player housing will be a fixture in Azeroth United going forward. I don't know if I'm going to give it its own segment. I might do that. I haven't decided yet, but we'll get to that here in just a moment.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
All right. Oh boy, player housing. We've come home, kids. As many people have already stated in the past 2 weeks, this is a great feature for the game. So a couple things that I wanted to say about player housing. First of all, it's very important to remember that player housing is in its early access stage. So this is, I would say, the most bare bones we're ever going to see this system be implemented, right? We're never going to see it back at this state. Things will be added to it, and it will become more robust, and there will be more options, and some of the features will work better. Blizzard is already making changes to a lot of the things in player housing. Like I just saw a thing on Wowhead where they are putting a boundary border on your property outside when you are in edit mode. So you can see where the lines are for your property, which that was one of the things that I didn't like. I was like, well, where's my boundary? Where can I place things? And you put something down and it goes, oh, that's outside your boundary. It's like, okay, well then show me where that is so I know. This isn't real life where I have to guess where I can put my fence, or my neighbor will complain that it's 2 inches off from the property line and I have to tear it down. This isn't that. I just want to know where it is so I can show me a line, and that's all I need. So anyway, player housing is a new feature that Blizzard has added to the game. If you haven't heard what player housing is, basically you can have a house as a player. You can get 2 houses, 1 Alliance and 1 Horde house per Battle.net account, which has been a big problem for a lot of people who are sharing accounts with their kids, or people who just happened to share accounts because they didn't know any better and are now paying the price for it because they have 1 house per faction that they can use. And if both people are playing the same faction, it becomes a real big issue. So not to mention the fact that you are sharing decor items. So if you buy up a bunch of Stormwind lumber and then somebody else on your account goes and puts them on the other house, then now you don't have them available to you. You get what I'm saying. So and that's something that I do think Blizzard is going to need to address eventually, is these accounts that are being shared by multiple people. Yes, you can point to the rule book and go, actually, all you want. But the reality is sometimes people do things without understanding the consequences of them. And this is a video game that people are paying money for and enjoying. And just like for myself, I've had 2 Battle.net accounts for a long time. And I have 2 Battle.net accounts because I made a dumb decision years ago to do something a certain way, and it bit me in the ass. And now I'm screwed because of it. So yeah, that's really frustrating. I don't like that. I don't want to have 2 Battle.net accounts. Do you realize how frustrating it is to have to go and farm all the warband stuff twice? It's a nightmare. But it's my own fault because I didn't read the rules. So I understand. Actually, there were no rules back then, honestly. They just anyway. I'm not going to get into that right now. I might do that one day. Maybe what'll happen is one day I'll get really drunk and I'll tell the whole story. But anyway, so I've been really happy so far with what Blizzard has made available in the game. This isn't like, Blizzard did X, Y, and Z, and I don't love it. Or everything so far has been good. There are a few things that are not great, right? But for the most part, everything is good. So I'm going to go through the whole list here. I have a bunch of things that I've written down, and I want to kind of talk about each one and how I feel about the way Blizzard has implemented it. So let's start off with the neighborhoods. So Blizzard has 2 housing neighborhoods. One is in Stormwind, one is in Orgrimmar, or one is outside of Stormwind and one is outside of Orgrimmar. However you want to phrase that. It's a Stormwind neighborhood and an Orgrimmar neighborhood, Alliance and Horde. The Alliance neighborhood features Elwynn Forest or Stormwind style architecture throughout the entirety of the neighborhood. So all the houses look very similar to each other. Now you can put things on top of your house to make it look different, but at its core, every house is basically the same. Same thing with the Horde neighborhood. They all look like Orgrimmar. There's no Thunder Bluff. There's no Forsaken. There's no Blood Elf. They all look like Orc Hut, which a lot of people don't like. A lot of people are very frustrated with that, and I'll get to that here in a minute. So Founders Point is the Alliance neighborhood, and to me, it's absolutely beautiful. The neighborhood itself is stunning. The views, there's cliffs, there's waterfalls, there's a really cool cemetery with a house literally in the middle of the cemetery. That somebody has that house in our neighborhood. There is no shortage of interesting things to see and to look at. The music is great. The ambiance is great. I started when I first went into housing, I was flying. I was just zoom, 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 flying as fast as I can, getting from point A to point B. And then I stopped and I was like, hold on. They put all of this work into this zone for you to relax and enjoy it, because this is our neighborhood. If WoW was real, this is where we would be walking our dogs. This is where we'd be going to our neighbor's house for a potluck, right? That's what this is. This is not a quest hub where you've got to go pick up all the quests and go do the dailies. No, this is our neighborhood. So I started not flying everywhere. I started just getting on my ground mount and I just go. And there's cute little bridges, and there was like a little beer garden in one part of it. There's a little shack over here. There's a lighthouse. I mean, there's so many interesting things. I can't even talk about all of the different components in this neighborhood. It gives me Elwynn Forest vibes if Elwynn Forest was a fully fleshed out zone where people lived, right? That's what it feels like. It feels like this is Elwynn Forest, and as you go through, you're going to find a new quest hub. But meanwhile, all of these little areas are filled with people's houses, not just an empty area where there's spiders and wolves and bears and all these different things. No, it's people live there. And I really liked that. It gave me a sense of, no, this is really part of the game. But it's not part of the game. And this is my biggest frustration with it. You can't just go there. It's a fully instanced location. And you can only get there through the portal in Stormwind or by using your Hearthstone, whatever you call this, the Hearthstone for your house. That's the only way to get to it. You can't just like go check out. It doesn't exist in the real world anywhere. Like there's not a plot where you can fly over it and look. And I don't expect that. I feel like that's maybe a bridge too far, but I do really wish that it did exist in the world somewhere. Even if it's just a reference to it, Founders Point. Razorwind Shores, the Horde neighborhood, I have a lot of concerns about this. Now, for a lot of longtime Horde players who are used to being in Orgrimmar, who are familiar with the Orc styling and the Orc vibe, it's fine. I get it. But a lot of people don't like that because while they play Horde, they might play a Volpera or a Blood Elf or a Tauren or a Forsaken or any other race besides Orc or Troll. Or Tauren. You could throw Tauren in there too. There's a lot of similarities between Thunderbluff and Orgrimmar. But at the end of the day, it's brown. It looks like yellow grass is in some places. All the cliffs are red, these big red brown rocks. It looks like Durotar. It looks inhospitable. It looks like that place where you go, well, we fled our planet through a dimensional portal, and then we waged war on a kingdom. We won, and so then we tried to push our advantage, and we lost. And now here we are without a home, and so we need to find a place. And so some random guy had us move here, and we've been eking out a living here ever since. It gives me that vibe. I don't know why, but but I kind of feel that way about it. So if you are listening to this and you're mad because you're like, man, I love Razorwind Shores, I'm happy that you love it. I did not like it. I felt like it didn't feel like a place where I would want to live. And most of the Alliance players are like, cool, this is fine because everybody knows Elwyn Forest and the human vibe, and that's okay, fine, whatever, because it feels familiar to us. We are human. We are humans, and this gives us, it's like a fantasy version of the houses that we already know. Whereas for orcs, while it might be cool to play as an orc, like, oh, look at this big green guy, he's so cool, he's got all these big muscles and he's got tusks coming out and he's got this crazy hairdo and he jumps weird. That's cool. That's your fantasy, and I've played an orc before too, and it feels cool. You actually feel really powerful when you play an orc. I'm not, sidebar here, of all of the races in WoW, no race feels as tough and like as powerful as an orc. And maybe this is just me as a man talking here, but anytime I play an orc, it makes me feel like I'm stronger. I don't know what that is. It's just the orc power, but nothing about orcs, even female orcs, if you want to go that, the 1950s American household domestic route, there's nothing about orcs that feels domesticated, right? They don't feel like people who are going to have a really beautiful home. Let's say a 3-story Victorian in a friendly neighborhood, and no, there's nothing about that for the Horde or for orcs. You could have a beautiful neighborhood that's forsaken, and it would work. Same thing with Blood Elves. Honestly, even the Volpero, who are nomads, could have a better neighborhood than the orcs. I don't know. It just feels weird that this is the choice Blizzard made. And for me personally, and I know I've said before, I'm not a developer, so I don't know the amount of time it takes to go into designing all this. And obviously, this is a lot of effort for them to put all these neighborhoods together. But you got to at least start off with Orc and Blood Elf. You have to. And I guess they didn't want the Orc neighborhoods to instantly be empty. But I think that says a lot as to the design aesthetic of World of Warcraft, that people just don't like the orc aesthetic. They like the orc characters, the orc race. They're cool. They're probably one of the coolest races in WoW. But the orc architecture and aesthetic is terrible. So, yeah, I feel bad for longtime Horde players, because I've seen so many houses where you look at the house on the outside and it looks like an ugly mud pit. And you go inside and it's a beautiful Silvermoon inspired home. Well, that's great, but the outside of your house looks like crap. And so I've been enjoying decorating the outside of my house because I can feel it. It feels like a real house, maybe a little fantasy, but it does feel like a house that I could potentially know. And I think that's one of the problems with something like player housing, because it takes a game that's about fantasy combat and, going on these quests and adventures and putting it into a real world situation. You might as well have a bathroom component to WoW, where it's like, your character starts doing more damage when he has to go to the bathroom, but then if he has to go too badly, then he starts like losing his mind and he can't focus anymore because he's got to pee, right? Or worse, if he had some of that Bruffalon stew, maybe he's got to do number 2. So I don't feel like that would be engaging gameplay for anyone. And I don't think that that's something that Blizzard should put in the game. And likewise, having a house, while it's cool, it definitely, it comes from a different place than I'm going to go do a quest and kill 10 rats. It's a completely different place. It's a completely different mindset that you have to get yourself into, which is, I think, why a lot of people just can't wrap their brain around player housing. They go, I don't get it. This doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's probably a lot of the reason why. So did Blizzard make a mistake by not having other neighborhoods available right from the beginning? I think they did. I think they could have at least gone Blood Elf, Orc, Human, Night Elf. I'd love to see a Dwarf and a Forsaken neighborhood. The Gnomes and the Trolls have always been kind of neighbors of the Orcs and the Dwarves. So yeah, they have their own aesthetic, but I could see starting with just the 3 main races and satisfying 99% of people who are like, hey, I want a house in WoW. It's like, well, okay, that's fine, but what are we doing here? I don't need a Draenei house. I don't need Worgen house would be cool. Goblin house would be really cool. Although, you'd need like your jazz radio station going nonstop. Anyway, that's enough about neighborhoods. You get the point. Is there a best plot in the neighborhood? Is there a worst plot in the neighborhood? I think so, but everybody's got their own opinion on it. I want to know what you think, though. You tell me what your plot is. Like, what plot number did you get in which of the factional neighborhoods? Because I'm curious to see what people are choosing. And did you pick it because that was the only thing available, or did you go scout around and find a neighborhood that had the plot that you wanted? Because that's what I did. My wife and I went and we looked at different neighborhoods. She picked the plot that she really liked. I went through and I picked a plot near hers that I really liked. Turns out that I'm her neighbor, and that worked out really well. But a lot of people, I'm sure, are just picking whatever housing plot is available in the guild neighborhood. So I'm curious to know what people are choosing there. Anyway, so yeah, that's it for neighborhoods. I don't want to beat that one too much. But I did want to say that about the orc neighborhoods. It just feels a little weird. So, all right, let's talk about the actual decor. So once you get your house, it's empty. I mean, you have a few things. There's like a fireplace and a stool or whatever. But for the most part, there's not a lot in there. So you need to go get the decor. And the decor comes from several different locations. You can get it through achievements. You can get it from drops. You can get it from vendors. You can get it from quests. I'm sure there's going to be more ways to get decor, but that's the main ways to get your decorations. You have to get one item per item that you want to place. So it's like if you go to IKEA and you buy a dresser, you're not unlocking the dresser from IKEA and you can have 20 of them in your house. You only get one. And if you want another one, you have to go back to IKEA. Same thing in WoW. And at first I was really annoyed by this. I thought, this is so stupid. Why don't they just give us the ability to unlock this? And then as we started going through it, I started realizing why they did it the way they did. Because first of all, it creates friction. And WoW is a game. It's not just a housing simulator. So as a game, you want to create some friction in every system that you do. So in this case, the friction is you need to acquire your decor. Some of them require you to do multiple things in order to get them. Some of them you can just go purchase from a vendor. But that gives you the incentive to not only go and get these items from the various locations, but having the ability to go get them from crafters, I should say, opens up a whole nother possibility for acquiring this, because you have your four main methods of getting them. But if you go to a crafter, they can actually craft them for you. Yes, it's expensive. And yes, it takes a lot of material and a lot of lumber. But after all that said and done, you only get one item. That creates a gold mine for these crafters. People who have these trade skills, who have leveled up in every expansion. They have the ability to make all of these things now. And I think it's really great. I think that Blizzard has managed to create a whole new economy for housing within the WoW economy. And it's going to be a pretty, we'll say, you talk about gold sinks, right? This one is going to eat up a lot of gold. So anyway, so the decor, I think, is, to me, the most interesting part of housing, because there are certain items that you can get that it's like, okay, well, this is obviously a whatever, and so you insert it there. It's a fountain, it's a shelf, it's a cabinet, it's a sofa, whatever it is. But you can repurpose things in so many different ways. And so buying multiples of these has created, like, I made stairs out of shelves. So I just spaced out the shelves all the way up the side of my next to my kitchen, and I created a fake second story in my house. something that I can get to. Now, I could probably create a room with stairs next to it and create an opening. And then from there you go, all right, well, now I could jump across or whatever. People have been creating these jumping puzzles. I think that's really cool. But getting back to the whole item of the decor. So the decor is something that I think Blizzard has done a really good job on. Now, there's a lot that's missing. But again, we're in early access, don't forget. So we're going to have a lot more things, and Blizzard has called this an evergreen system. So they're going to constantly put new things into the game. And yes, some of them will be on the store. And yes, some of them will be with a premium currency. And that sucks. I don't like that. I'm not planning on buying Hearthsteel. I don't have a problem with anyone who does. If you want to buy Hearthsteel, go ahead. It's not out of principle. I just don't like it. I don't think that it fits the way that I want to spend my money on WoW. So I'm not going to be buying Hearthsteel unless it's the most amazing thing ever, and then I just have to. And if I do, I will come on the show and I will tell you, and I will say I lied. I did buy this. So the decor itself is fine. Acquiring the decor is a little clunky. Like I said, there's 4 main ways to do it, plus you can get crafting. But I don't know. I just feel like all of the stuff that's in the game right now, none of it feels like it feels incomplete. And I guess that's because it's the early access. But some of these drops don't really work for me. Some of the quest lines that you have to complete multiple steps in order to get to it is frustrating. There are some decor items you have to be a certain race to purchase, which is frustrating. I made a Worgen specifically so I can purchase the Gilnean keg from doing the liberation of or reclamation of Gilneas questline. So yeah, there's a lot to do with the decor, but I think that's something that's going to get fleshed out a lot significantly over time. So I'm not too worried about it right now. But let's talk about the interface. So here's where I've become the most frustrated with housing. The interface is rudimentary at best. It does not have basic functionality. Like, here's a dresser. I've got 12 of them in my storage. I would like them all to be shaped and sized and positioned like this first one. Blizzard cannot do that with the current, or we can't do that with the current tools that Blizzard has given us. There's no way to duplicate something. So if you take an item, let's say, like I've been using these beams, there's Stormwind and Silvermoon and Orgrimmar and Belemeth beams that you can use. So you take them and you turn them in certain directions, to certain angles, move them around, size them up, size them down, and you can do all sorts of things with them. I would love to be able to say, okay, here's the beam that I've created. Boom. Now I want to be able to create 20 more just like this. I have them in my storage. So when I click them, I want them to follow the characteristics of the previous beam and not the default. And the only way to put stuff down is by using the default, which is really frustrating. It slows down some of these custom builds that people are doing. Some of these really cool ideas that people have are being stymied by the interface. One of the problems that I also have with the way that the Blizzard implemented the advanced system. Well, let's talk about this first. So you have 5 different options when you are doing editing. So you can edit the house, you can edit your floor plan. That's one. You can clean up mode, which is if you have decorations that you don't want anymore, you can just click on them and they'll just go away. They'll go back to your storage. You have customized mode, so that's for customizing the inside of your house, like your walls, your ceiling, your floor. You have your decorate mode, which is just putting down items. You decorate mode, it opens up your storage list, you click an item and you place it. It's that simple. You can turn it, you can move it around, you can enable clipping, you can make it snap to a grid, however you want to do it, but it gives you a lot of options just from that standpoint alone. And then there's advanced mode, which gives you the ability to move, rotate, and scale your items. So you can move them on planes. So you have our axes. You can have XYZ axis. So you could say, I want to move this back and forth between these 2 points on a straight line so that I can line it up exactly where I want it. You can do that. Same thing with up and down, same thing with back and forth. That's great. I like that. The problem with it is that if your camera angle is wrong, it doesn't let you do it correctly. So if you're trying to move something back and forth and you're standing in front of it, it won't allow you to move it back and forth without moving your mouse way off into the distance, and then it moves really fast. So you have to turn your camera to the side. And if you turn your camera to the side, then you can do that same back and forth movement as if it's left to right movement, and then it works. So I feel like it's a problem with the way that the UI is implemented, because it uses your character as the designer of the house, which does make sense from an RPG standpoint, but from an actual being able to design the house standpoint, it sucks. We need an omni camera view. Maybe even give it to us as an option. I mean, enable omni camera, because like I said, I was making stairs and I created a second floor on the upper portion of my main room. And it's not like I had a two-story, so it's the two-story room that's empty on the top. So it was just a huge, massive room that went all the way up. So I put stairs in, and then I created put in flooring so I could have like a little secret space up there where my character can go and chill. The hard part about it is you can't get up to be able to see something from a top-down view, or I want to see what's up on top of this beam. You can't see that unless your character can get up there. So you have to build these jump puzzles to get up to the spot where you can look and see what it is you're trying to see. And then you have to go in and delete the jump puzzles and go back down and then start building. I feel like that's just a really clunky way to do the interface. I wish that Blizzard would make it so that we could just position our camera where we want it and move things around. And yeah, our character can be there because they are technically ones designing the house or decorating the house. That's fine. But especially for these more advanced builds, I would like the option to be able to move the camera independently of my character. Blizzard, please at least just consider it. All right, so that's for inside. And then for outside the house, you have the ability to, you can customize your exterior layout by putting in windows or chimneys or towers. You can put like a mage tower or whatever. That's all cool. It's fine. I feel like the Alliance one is much better than the Horde one. Again, I don't like the way that the orc architecture looks, and there's not really that many options because the house itself is just a round house. It's just a hut. So I don't know. It just looks weird. So you have that. And then you can same thing. You can position your different items in the same way. With advanced mode, you can move them around, scale them, rotate them, and whatever. The differences are outside you have a decoration limit of 250. Inside, your decoration limit increases as you level up your house. But outside, you get a one-time, at least so far, one-time increase to 250 from 200 at house level 3. And then that's it. And the reason for that is because Blizzard doesn't want us to be able to decorate out like crazy levels of house, because it's going to slow down the outside world. I talked about this last week because they just increased that threshold last week. The problem is people have these really crazy creative ideas that they're being limited by because the neighborhoods are too big. So it's a scaling issue, right? It's a technical limitation. You create the neighborhoods of a certain size because a neighborhood of a certain size is going to use up certain resources on the computer, CPU, memory, storage, all of those things. And then the more neighborhoods you have, each one will just use up that many more resources. So you need your neighborhoods to be of a certain size so that you don't have to have too many of them, but you also don't want them to be too big or they will take up too many resources. So there's a sweet spot in there somewhere. I'm assuming they found it. But regardless, it looks like this is the limit for now. And we might get it raised up again later in the future, but I guess that remains to be seen. And then I already talked about the boundaries, that Blizzard is implementing that. It won't be in until midnight, but it's coming. So you'll be able to know where the outside boundary of your house is. So overall, I'd say housing has been a really good addition to World of Warcraft. I will echo the sentiments of quite a few other people who have, and I've said this before myself, a lot of people have chimed in the last 2 weeks to say, this is great. Why did they release it now? This should have been in the pre-patch. Housing should have been part of the pre-patch for Midnight, and we would all be doing this and not feeling like, oh, I should be doing Mythic Plus. Oh, my raid needs to go to Cutting Edge. Oh, my raid, people are still doing the game. People are still playing WoW. This isn't like we're just doing housing. There's a lot of things going on in WoW, but it's being curtailed because so many people are doing housing. And so I think if you're going to launch a major feature of the game early, it should be in the pre-patch, not in the last patch of the previous expansion. That just didn't make any sense. Like I said last week, it's like if your kids ask for the Christmas gifts early and you give them to them, and then when Christmas comes around, they're going to say, I don't have anything to open. Yeah, because you already opened your gifts 3 weeks ago. So why didn't you wait? But that being said, it's a great feature. I'm really happy that it's in the game. I'm really happy that Blizzard has decided to give it such a robust core structure of here's how the feature works. It's not just, yeah, here's a house that you could build. People were afraid it was going to be Garrisons 2.0. It's not Garrisons 2.0, not by a mile. It's actually amazing with everything that they've put in there, and knowing that it's not fully fleshed out, knowing that this is not the final form for housing, that there's still a lot of work that's going to be put into it. We still don't have endeavors. Endeavors are going to be a really crucial function for housing, because that's going to be the main way you're going to level up your house. You have people who are housing level 2 or 3 and they're like, how can I get my house leveled up? You just have to go learn every decor item that you can find. That's the only way to do it right now. But in Midnight, we'll have endeavors, and endeavors are going to be little things that you can do. Some of them will be things that you normally do anyway. Some of them will be specific to your neighborhood. Some of them will be specific to other activities, but they will all give you XP, not only XP for your house, but they will give you XP for your neighborhood, or credit for your neighborhood to completing a certain goal. We're not exactly sure on how it's going to work, but basically what it's going to be is you're going to, as a neighborhood, everybody will contribute, and if everyone contributes enough, then you get some sort of a reward, which is like a vendor where you can purchase really cool and unique items, which is great, but it's not in the game yet. So I'm excited about this feature, I think, but we don't really have an opportunity to play around with it, at least not at scale. So that's unfortunate. The other thing is, obviously, people are wanting the other neighborhoods, and I agree. I think that starting with these 2, I get it, but I also think it was a mistake. I think they should have started with at least 4. Give us the elf neighborhoods, or don't even give us elves. Fine, don't give us elves. Give us the original WoW races. Give us the 4 races at the very least. Something more than just orc and human. Anything would have been better than that. Or not. I don't know. Maybe that was the best choice. But regardless, that's what we have. And I think overall housing is really good. I'm really excited about seeing where it goes in the future. I was going to have Ashlyn come on the show and talk about it, but like I said, we just couldn't get things lined up this weekend. So I'll probably have her on at some point here in the future to talk about housing and talk about all of that stuff. But that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. If you are enjoying the podcast and you want to help us out, you could consider giving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That would really help out the distribution. If you leave a review or a comment, that will make its way onto the air. I'll read it. So if you want to say something cool or something funny or whatever it is, that would be cool. If you want to get a hold of me, you can either reach me on X Twitter or Blue Sky. I'm at Denethar on both of those platforms. You can also reach me on Discord. You can join the Azeroth United Discord server by going to AzerothUnitedPod.com. It has links to our Discord, and pretty much everything else is on there as well. But yeah, that's the best way if you want to do that. If you are really enjoying the show and you really want to help us out, you could consider joining our Patreon. This is where people can give their IRL money to help out with the production of the show. We currently have several patrons already on there, and I'm really, like I've said in the past, I'm really touched that so many people love the show so much that they want to put their time and money into support of it. So I really do appreciate it. It, this isn't like I'm just making cash. This is just for, it helps out with some of the incidental costs. I'm paying for the hosting, I'm paying for the podcast service, I'm paying for the website. All of these things cost money, and I'm happy to pay for all of them myself because I enjoy producing Azeroth United as a fun hobby, and that's just what I do. But if people want to help out, I think that's awesome, and I would love to accept that help. So there are 3 different tiers of patrons. There is the free tier that you can just join and be a part of the Patreon. I do occasionally post some messages on there and some other things. I don't use it quite as often as I might like to put things on there. Most of what I want to communicate goes on the Discord, but occasionally there will be stuff that goes onto the Patreon. The other 2 tiers, there's our standard tier, and then there's our friend of the show tier. And I want to thank our friend of the show tier patrons right now. That's Judge Omni, Stuglife, Thelial, Greybeard, Raven, and Macus. Thank you all so much. You definitely help make Azeroth United possible. It really just means a lot to me. So thank you all so much. And I think that's it. So thank you again for listening and for being a part of all of this. It's been quite a fun journey, and we're about to record the last episode of Azeroth United for the year. That'll be next week's episode, and then on to 2026. So I'm really excited about the direction that the show is going to take going into the future. I have a lot of plans, a lot of things that I'm going to do, and I hope you'll be part of it. So all right, thank you again for listening. Remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real life person on the other side of that keyboard, and they maybe they like the horde and orc style aesthetic, and that's fine. They can like it all they want. It's cool. I don't have a problem if that's what you want to do. I just don't like it, so that's all right. But we can still be friends and smile and just nod at each other, and it's okay. And just be cool, and just remember it's easy to be kind. So why don't you go ahead and do that? All right, take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.